Messi's secret 400M life. The mansion he hides, the watch collection that shocks an Antonella's fashion empire. Before we begin, let me ask you something. Who comes to mind when you think about the athletes who have the most wealth over the course of their careers? It's possible that celebrities are the ones who post pictures of their expensive cars on the internet. One possible explanation is that it is the celebrities who post pictures of their private jets, expensive closets, and mansions on social media every single day. Let's say, however, that one of the wealthiest athletes on the planet has managed to build an exceptional, luxurious lifestyle without continually bringing it up in conversation. What would happen if the most famous football player in the world had spent years quietly amassing a fortune, acquiring rare items, investing in businesses, and developing a lifestyle that a lot of people still know very little about? This is what makes this story so interesting to read up on. Due to the fact that Lionel Messi's wealth is not concealed, it's just not overstated enough. To add insult to injury, the stories that aren't continually being marketed are often the ones that are the most interesting. It is important to keep one question in mind when we investigate Messi's residences, automobiles, watches, family life, private trips, an expansive business empire. It is possible that Lionel Messi has perfected a sort of luxury that is more potent precisely due to the fact that it is so silent. Ronaldo reveals to you the extent of his wealth. You are forced to discover it by Messi. Built in a stealthy manner, the $400 million enjoyed a beautiful life. There have been 8 Ballon d'Or awards, a World Cup, and a lifestyle that is so subtle that it has taken the internet years to discover its existence until now. The divergence is really noticeable, beginning with a humble beginning in Rosario, Argentina on the one hand. On the other hand, a global icon who is living a lifestyle that represents decades of accomplishment at the highest level. The journey that took place between the two worlds is one of the most remarkable examples of success in the history of athletics. This is just the beginning of our journey. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button right now. It's right there in the bottom left corner, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a video. Like this video and share it with every football fan you know. And click the link in the description below. Grab your free World Cup football report. 7 facts about the World Cup you did not know. And while you're there, pick up the full World Cup Football Bible 2026. Over 300 pages of World Cup history, records, legends, and 2026 preview for just $77, reduced from $140. The link is in the description. Don't miss it. Now, back to this incredible story. Imagine for a moment that we had access to in-depth accounts of the most legendary players, tournaments, and moments in the history of football before we delve any further into Messi's universe. You have arrived at the perfect location if you have a strong interest in football, and if you are also interested in luxury lives and the business that lies behind global sports players. Because the tale we are telling today is not only about money, it is about the ways in which greatness may change every facet of one's life. As the tour progresses, you will learn the reasons why Messi's way of life has become one of the most talked about examples of contemporary luxury that involves minimal noise. When you look more closely, you will notice that it is more remarkable. Mansions. Everyone who is successful makes decisions about how they will spend their money. Some people are more concerned with business. Some people are collectors of art. Some people construct large houses with the intention of drawing attention to themselves. The decisions that Messi makes provide light on an intriguing aspect of his personality traits. Each time, the same recurring motif is observed. In private, satisfying, the family unit, and a way of living that prioritizes one's own contentment over the acceptance of others' public approbation. To start, let's take a look at one of the homes in his portfolio that has received the most attention. 7 bedrooms, a private dock, and more than $11 million are included in this Fort Lauderdale, Miami home. We went with privacy rather than flashes. When he left, the Castelldefels estate in Barcelona, which was a custom-built compound on a hilltop and had pools, tennis courts, and children's gardens, was sold for €8 million, and Ibiza for each and every summer. The Mediterranean Sea is surrounded by infinity pools. These are the perspectives that explain all about why the greatest footballer in the world has successfully become one of the wealthiest persons in the world. But to really understand what this means, you have to slow down and look beyond the numbers. Because on paper, these are just properties, just locations, just pieces of real estate spread across different parts of the world. In reality, they represent something much deeper, a carefully designed lifestyle built around control, comfort, and distance from unnecessary attention. The Fort Lauderdale Miami home, for example, is not just about size or value. 7 bedrooms suggest space, yes, but more importantly, they suggest separation. Separation between family life, guests, staff, and the outside world. The private dock is not simply a luxury feature. It is a form of privacy architecture. It allows direct access to the water without passing through public spaces, without exposure, without interruption. Even the estimated value of more than $11 million becomes secondary when you understand the real purpose of the property. It is not designed to impress strangers. It is designed to protect a lifestyle. And that theme repeats itself when you look at the Castelldefels estate in Barcelona. This was not a casual purchase. It was a custom-built compound placed deliberately on a hilltop, away from the density and noise of the city below. Every element of it reflects intention. The pools are not just decorative. They create separation between indoor and outdoor life. The tennis courts are not just recreational. They reflect a self-contained environment where training, leisure, and family time can all exist without leaving the property. Even the children's gardens matter in a symbolic sense. They represent a space where normal life could continue despite extraordinary fame surrounding it. When this estate was sold for €8 million, it marked more than a financial transaction. It symbolized the end of a chapter, years spent in Barcelona during one of the most dominant periods in football history. But even in its ending, the property tells a story of balance, a balance between global fame and private grounding, between stadium pressure and home life simplicity. Then there is Ibiza. And Ibiza is different again because it is not a single fixed residence tied to one stage of life. It is a recurring environment, a seasonal escape that appears again and again in the rhythm of Messi's world. Each summer, the Mediterranean becomes the backdrop. Infinity pools overlooking open water create a visual continuity between architecture and nature. The sea is not distant. It is part of the experience. It surrounds everything, softening the edges of a life that is otherwise defined by intensity and competition. But what makes Ibiza especially important in this story is not just the luxury itself. It is what it represents. It represents pause. It represents distance from expectation. It represents a temporary break from a life where every action is analyzed, every performance is measured, and every mistake is magnified. When you connect all of these places together, Miami, Barcelona, Ibiza, you start to see a pattern that goes far beyond wealth. This is not random luxury. This is structured living. Each location serves a purpose. Each property plays a role. One is for long-term family stability, is for legacy and career grounding. One is for seasonal escape and emotional reset. And that is where the deeper understanding begins. Because when people think about why the greatest footballer in the world has also become one of the wealthiest, they often look only at contracts, sponsorships, and salaries. But that is only one layer of the story. The other layer is how that wealth is lived, how it is structured, how it is protected, and how it is transformed into a lifestyle that prioritizes privacy over performance and experience over exposure. In that sense, these homes are not just signs of success. They are tools of balance. They are spaces designed to maintain normality in a life that is anything but normal. They allow someone who lives under global attention to still experience silence. They allow family life to exist without interruption. And they allow success to feel sustainable rather than overwhelming. So when you look at the Fort Lauderdale mansion, the Castelldefels estate, and the recurring summers in Ibiza, you are not just looking at luxury real estate. You are looking at a system built around one simple idea, that the highest form of wealth is not what you display to the world, but what allows you to live peacefully within it. Take a little pause and consider the similarities that these characteristics share with one another. This is a luxurious item. They do not let anyone in. That is a stunning sight. Nevertheless, they are not intended to be constantly seen by the public. In addition to providing immediate access to the water, the Miami property also provides privacy from the rest of the world. The Barcelona complex was a reflection of the stability and family life that Messi established during his memorable years at FC Barcelona. In addition, Ibiza has become synonymous with leisure, vacations with the family, and luxurious living in the Mediterranean. Try to picture yourself standing next to one of those infinity pools. When viewed from the horizon, the Mediterranean Sea appears to extend on forever. The tension that was caused by football was momentarily replaced with perfect tranquility. Waves have effectively replaced the roar of stadiums. The expectations of millions were replaced by the anticipation of spending time with friends and family. Maybe that's the true definition of luxury. It is not enough to simply own lovely residences. However, having areas where you are ultimately left alone by the rest of the world. Moreover, here is a question that deserves some thought. What happens to your privacy when you've accomplished everything you possibly can in football? Does it become the most prized property of all? From Messi's perspective, the solution is quite obvious because each and every property has its own unique narrative, achieving success without drawing attention to itself, a luxury that is not excessive. The absence of compromise in terms of comfort car collection in question. Cars are more than just a means of mobility for a plethora of elite sportsmen. A statement is what they are. Allegories. A manifestation of one's preferences, personality, and achievements. Nevertheless, Messi's collection is not solely comprised of him having pricey automobiles. It is regarding the ownership of remarkable automobiles. Machines that have a narrative. Items that are extremely rare. Collectors' fantasies about the machines they own. One of only 4 Ferrari 335S Spider Scagliettis ever produced, this particular 1957 model was purchased at auction for a price of 35 million euros. At that time, the Ferrari that was the most costly sale ever made, just one single acquisition. One of the most astounding examples of quiet luxury. A Maserati Gran Turismo that was a gift from the manufacturer with a Pagani Zonda that was customized. When you receive a Ferrari, it is a statement about who you are and everything you are capable of. But what makes this even more interesting is not just the price tag or the rarity, it is the philosophy behind it. Because in the world of extreme wealth, ownership is rarely about necessity, it is about meaning. And in Messi's case, each vehicle is less a display of excess and more a reflection of taste, recognition, and long-term cultural value. Start with the Ferrari 335S Spider Scaglietti. Only 4 of these cars were ever built, which already places it in a category that goes beyond luxury and into historical preservation. This is not a modern supercar that can be reproduced or reimagined. This is automotive heritage, a machine from an era when engineering was raw, mechanical, and deeply artistic. To acquire something like this is to step into a very small circle of collectors in the world, people who are not just buying cars but preserving fragments of automotive history itself. At 35 million euros, the purchase is not just expensive, it is symbolic. It represents the highest level of rarity meeting the highest level of demand. And it also reflects something subtle about how elite wealth operates. The most valuable items are not always the newest, fastest, or most technologically advanced. They are often the ones that can never be replaced. Then there is the idea of the Maserati Gran Turismo, gifted directly by the manufacturer. On the surface, it might seem simpler compared to the Ferrari, but in reality, a gift of this nature carries its own kind of significance. Automotive brands do not casually give away vehicles of this class. These gestures are reserved for individuals whose influence, reputation, and global recognition align with the identity of the brand itself. It becomes less about transportation and more about endorsement, a symbolic handshake between legacy and excellence. And then comes the Pagani Zonda, customized, a car already known in enthusiast circles as one of the most obsessive examples of automotive engineering ever created. The Zonda is not mass luxury, it is niche perfection. Every curve, every component, every detail reflects an almost artistic level of engineering intent. A customized version of such a vehicle pushes it even further into personal expression. It becomes not just a machine, but a statement of individuality inside one of the most exclusive automotive communities in the world. What connects all of these together is not volume, but selectivity. There is no visible attempt to build a large collection for public display. There is no pursuit of quantity for attention. Instead, there is a pattern of choosing extremely rare, highly meaningful pieces that exist at the intersection of history, craftsmanship, and recognition. And that leads to a deeper question about wealth itself. Because in modern celebrity culture, cars are often seen as symbols of status meant to be shown, posted, and circulated. But at the highest level of wealth, the purpose shifts. It becomes less about proving success and more about aligning with objects that already carry their own legacy. So when you look at this combination, the Ferrari 335S Spider Scaglietti, the gifted Maserati Gran Turismo, and the customized Pagani Zonda, you are not just looking at a garage, you are looking at a language of rarity, respect, and restraint. And perhaps the most interesting part is this. In a world where many people collect cars to be seen, these choices suggest something very different. They suggest collecting what already speaks for itself. Imagine for a second that you are driving that Ferrari, one of just 4 that have ever been constructed. Not even 1 out of 40, 400 and not a single one, 1 out of 4. That amount of rarity positions it in a category that is significantly higher than that of typical luxury. It's not only a conveyance either. It is the history of automobiles. This is the heritage of engineering. A collector's dream comes true here. At that point, the Pagani Zonda arrives. A machine that is well known for its exceptional performance, exclusiveness, and craftsmanship. Every aspect exemplifies the meticulous attention to quality that was paid. Every curve was crafted with a specific goal in mind. Excellence is reflected in each and every component. The Maserati Gran Turismo is another option to consider, presented as a gift by the manufacturer. Simply focusing on that particular aspect reveals a great deal. The individuals that represent luxury brands are selected with great care. It is a reflection of the kind of respect that Messi commands all around the world that one of the most prestigious car brands in the world has chosen to link itself with Messi. Consider the following thought-provoking proposition for a moment. The true value of a collection might be determined by the number of objects it contains, or it can be determined by the rarity and significance of the pieces in the collection. The garage that Messi has suggests that the second solution is correct. Jewelry and watches, both within the realm of riches. Luxury watches hold a special and remarkable position. They can be worn on the wrist in contrast to houses or boats. Some of them, however, are worth more than entire houses. Furthermore, Messi's collection contains a number of quite impressive examples. The Jacob & Company Astronomia Tourbillon is a blue sapphire solar system that rotates on your wrist. It costs $1 million and will be worn to the 2022 World Cup. The watch industry went completely insane. A one-of-a-kind Franck Muller that bears the number 10 and the year that he won the World Cup. There are multiple Royal Oaks from Audemars Piguet. The collection is quiet, value that is beyond compare. But what makes this collection so fascinating is not just the price of each individual piece. It is the philosophy behind how they are chosen and how they are worn. Because in a world where luxury watches are often used as loud signals of status, Messi's approach is noticeably different. It is controlled, intentional, almost understated, even when the objects themselves are extraordinary. Take the Jacob & Co. Astronomia Tourbillon. This is not a traditional watch in any sense. It is a mechanical universe, a miniature solar system built inside sapphire and gold, where planets rotate continuously in a carefully engineered motion. It is designed to attract attention instantly, not through branding alone, but through movement, complexity, and visual spectacle. At a price of around $1 million, it already sits in a category reserved for the highest level of horology. And yet, what makes it even more interesting is where it appears in one of the most watched sporting events on Earth, the 2022 World Cup. That context matters, because the World Cup is not a fashion runway or a private gala. It is the most intense stage in global sport, where every detail is magnified by millions of viewers. Wearing a piece like this in that environment transforms it from a luxury object into a global statement of identity and presence. Then there is the Franck Muller piece, a one-of-one creation, personalized with the number 10 and the year of his World Cup victory. Unlike mass-produced luxury watches, this is not something that can be replicated or easily compared. It is deeply personal. It ties directly into his identity as a player, as number 10, and as someone whose career is defined by historic achievement. It becomes less about timekeeping and more about memory, a frozen moment in design form. And alongside these pieces sit multiple Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks, one of the most respected and iconic watch lines in the entire industry. The Royal Oak is known not for excess decoration, but for its architectural design, its precision, and its timeless appeal. It is a watch worn by collectors who understand subtlety within luxury. Owning multiple variations of such a model reflects not just wealth, but consistency and taste, a preference for elegance over exaggeration. When you step back and look at the collection as a whole, something becomes clear. It is not loud in the way many celebrity collections are loud. It does not rely on constant public display or aggressive branding. Instead, it feels curated, almost restrained. Each piece serves a different purpose. One represents artistic spectacle, another represents personal legacy, and others represent timeless sophistication. And that is where the deeper meaning emerges. Because at this level of wealth, watches are no longer just accessories. They are symbols of time itself, how it is experienced, how it is remembered, and how it is valued. For most people, a watch tells you the time. For someone like Messi, these watches tell a story about identity, achievement, and permanence. So when you see the Astronomia Tourbillon rotating like a miniature universe, the custom Franck Muller marking a historic victory, and the Royal Oaks representing enduring elegance, you are not just seeing a collection of luxury items. You are seeing a quiet language of success, one that does not need to announce itself because every piece already speaks for him. It is possible that the Jacob & Co. Astronomia Tourbillon is one of the most visually stunning timepieces that have ever been produced. Consider the possibility of wearing a small solar system on your wrist, a mechanical marvel that is always moving and keeps the audience's attention interested. Quite simply, it is not a watch, it's art that can be worn. Then there is the Franck Muller that is made to order, a component that was intimately tied to Messi's identity, symbols that served to symbolize his legacy. Following that, the Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks are presented, a collection that is admired by watch aficionados all throughout the United States, classy and refined, everlasting, very highly regarded. One of the most remarkable aspects of these timepieces is that they reflect Messi's public image, exquisitely refined, developed further. It is valuable, avoiding making an excessive amount of noise. To all those who are passionate about watches, whether it be the price tag or the tale that is tied to it, what constitutes a luxury watch that is genuinely exceptional? The response seemed to be unambiguous for Messi. The narrative is important. The number Antonella Rocazzo is known as the Queen of Quiet Fashion. A discussion of Antonella Rocazzo is an essential component of any narrative that focuses on Messi's way of living, mainly due to the fact that although Messi has established one of the most successful careers in football, Antonella has established a significant identity of her own. It is possible that this is one of the reasons why their narrative is so relatable to a large number of individuals all around the world. It has a genuine feel about it. And it started a very long time before celebrity was even a consideration. Messi was born and raised in Rosario, Argentina, on the same street. Today she has 40 million followers on Instagram, her own fashion shoe business, and a personal style that fashion journalists consider to be the new gold standard for silent luxury. During the summer months, her vacation content from Ibiza yachts receives millions of views. Each and every one of the things that she has constructed feels completely and unmistakably her own. It is the kind of detail that sounds almost like it was taken from a story that you grew up on the same street. Nevertheless, it is a component of what stands out about their story. Ahead of the honors for the Ballon d'Or, prior to the World Cup games, before widespread renown, he was known as Rosario. In addition, Antonella has developed into a powerful personality in her own right in the present day. Her sense of style is adopted by millions of people. Her impact is treasured by brands. Her fashion sense is dissected by many media sites. However, no matter how much attention she receives, her image does not change. Classy and refined, true to form, not overpowering. There is a possibility that this is the reason why the word quiet luxury is used so frequently when people talk about her. I would like to bring to your attention the following. Having a connection to one of the most famous athletes in the world while also establishing such a respected identity on their own is an extremely rare occurrence, extremely uncommon. The fact that she has achieved such accomplishment is even more remarkable. Number travel on a private jet, yacht, or luxury vehicle. The majority of people just travel on a sporadic basis whenever they can. Travel becomes a way of life for those who are seen as worldwide icons. Furthermore, when your professional life covers multiple countries, luxury travel becomes an integral component of the infrastructure that underpins success. The Gulfstream V has a bespoke interior, sleeping quarters, and price tag of $15 million. Mediterranean superyachts every summer, with a crew of 12, a private chef, and a length of 60 meters. Ibiza, Miami, Buenos Aires, and Paris are these destinations. The travels of the Messi family are meticulously secret, and they are also meticulously magnificent. More than just a mode of transportation, a Gulfstream V reflects its owner. That is the symbol of liberty, the capacity to travel around the globe in a manner that is both comfortable and efficient, to travel according to your own itinerary, in order to establish a personal space even while traveling across countries. After that, the superyachts arrive. The distance is 60 meters. A personal chef, 12 people make up the crew. The summers of the Mediterranean. It is not difficult to picture the image. Water that is completely transparent, no end to the sunshine, first-rate customer service, as well as total discretion. Another frequent theme should be noticed. Once more, privacy is revealed. It doesn't matter if we're talking about homes, vacations, or travel. The same pattern keeps turning up. It is not visibility that is the foundation of Messi's luxurious existence. The experience is the foundation of it. This is a significant distinction between the two. I have one more question for you. When a person has the ability to travel to any location in the planet, what do they consider to be the ultimate destination? Convenience or tranquility? Is it possible that Messi is the answer to both questions? The victory from the World Cup and ending is a necessary component of every good story. There was one accomplishment that Messi's resume did not include for a number of years. The one trophy, a single idea, only one objective. It is the World Cup. Messi's story has been incomplete for 15 years, and the only thing that has been lacking is the World Cup. After what seemed like an eternity, he finally raised the trophy in Qatar in 2022, marking the moment that the entire football world had been waiting for. That statue made of gold, the tears that were shed, It was the night that Argentina won the World Championship once more. The man who had everything up to that point was now able to have everything. The feelings that were present at that time are difficult to put into words. Those who had been following him for years were able to witness history being made. All of the teammates rejoiced. Every single generation of supporters was filled with joy. In an instant, the photographs were instantly iconic for the trophy, with a smile. The tears that were shed, it is a relief, the elation. For a great number of individuals, this was not only a sporting accomplishment. This event marked the conclusion of a journey, in a tale that had been unfolding for decades before it finally came to an end. Perhaps this is the reason why it was felt so deeply beyond the realm of football. Because everyone is familiar with the sensation of working towards something for a long time and eventually succeeding in achieving it. The question is as follows: does a single moment have the potential to rewrite a whole legacy? The Qatar 2022 tournament did precisely that for a lot of supporters. An empire of business, an impressively powerful business engine lies at the heart of every spectacular wealth, and the size of Messi's is beyond the comprehension of many people. One of the most lucrative deals in the history of sports is the one he has with Adidas. The value of investment in Inter Miami is increasing on a monthly basis. There are hotel ventures in both Spain and Argentina. The annual revenue generated by image rights is in the tens of millions, an impressively extensive portfolio, which is precisely what you would anticipate from the man who is the most quietly extraordinary in the world. Simply relying on the Adidas Association is enough to demonstrate decades of brand power, a collaboration that is founded on the acknowledgement of the world and the quality of sports. The next step is the equity of Inter Miami. The investment is related to one of the most exciting growth stories in the history of football. Investments in hotels come next. The rights to images then. Then there are opportunities for business, layer after layer, in succession. A succession of different sources of revenue. One of the things that makes it so amazing is how silently everything works. Constant exposure is essential to the success of many celebrity dynasties. Messi's empire frequently has a distinct atmosphere, having a structure, unchanging. The long term. It is possible that this is one of the most important lessons that may be learned from his story. Often, great riches is acquired via patient labor, not in a loud manner. One thing becomes abundantly evident after one has gained an understanding of the homes, automobiles, watches, family life, private trips, World Cup victory, and lucrative business empire. The amount of luxury that Lionel Messi lives in is just remarkable. But it's not just the money that sets it apart from other options. The strategy is the cause. This is the restraint. Consistency is present. Despite having achieved worldwide popularity for decades, Messi has managed to maintain his unique identity. And that is the extraordinary world of Lionel Messi, one of the most remarkable luxury lifestyles in football history. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Football Luxury Lifestyle for more incredible content, and make sure the notification bell is on so you never miss a video. Share this with every football fan you know, and most importantly, click the link in the description right now. Get your free World Cup football report. 7 facts about the World Cup you did not know, absolutely free. And grab the full World Cup Football Bible 2026, over 300 pages for just $77. The link is right there in the description. See you in the next one, here on Football Luxury Lifestyle, where football meets fame, fortune, and fashion. Before you go, there is one last question that you should think about. Has Lionel Messi demonstrated that the most stunning sort of riches is the kind that speaks for itself? In a world where success is frequently assessed by how loudly people display it, Lionel Messi has demonstrated that this is the case. It is possible that the solution is the reason why his narrative continues to captivate millions of people all over the world.